I wanted to go ahead and do a quick episode. I'll ramble a little bit because I'm a put it to a full test of record and run the Silk processor, and then I'll run it through Levelator, and then I'll put it on my uh, drive, and then I'll probably you know what I'll post it on an episode. This will be a really kind of an educational episode. So what I want to say first is I did end up getting Waves Silk processor, and I was talking to ChatGPT because I just for those of you that don't know, my story is I started off with a USB mic. Then I went to Fifine mic. Then I went to a Fifine uh, mixer. Then I went to the little enclosed deals, the little mic, little things you put around your mic. Then I went to processing, a home booth. Then I went to I think I have the whole inside of this booth is enclosed with um what do you call that? The acoustic foam. Then I went to a Rodecaster Pro 2. Then I went to a fake SM7DB. Then I went to I think I did Waves, I did FL Studio, I did Reaper. Then I went to a real SM7DB. Then I went to 528E Semtrex. Then I think after that I went to I got Waves Clarity. I got Ozone 12. I got then I just got the Waves Silk processor. So that's my journey, and the whole journey was just you're trying to find that perfect podcast sound. Or at least, I'm not going to even say perfect podcast sound. I'll say perfect podcast sound for your voice. Doesn't even have to be perfect, just perfect for my voice. So, you go through this shitstorm of settings and EQ settings and YouTube videos and people that want to, sell you their process and your process, just all kinds of stuff. I mean, it is a complete shitstorm, but you if you stay in it long enough, you'll kind of figure it out. And that's I'm not saying I'm perfect. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying that um I don't know. I like buying stuff. I'll just go ahead and say it. I like buying stuff, and probably a bunch of stuff that I really don't need. But I don't know what they call that, a compulsive buyer or whatever. If I feel I need something, I go get it. That's just me. That's just is what it is. So I went and got this the Wave Silk processor, and also I forgot to mention I did make my own app off of Base 44. I made my own app that one app gives you the EQ settings, and you just keep uploading, keep taking the settings, upload again, upload again, upload again, upload again, and it'll finally tell you this particular file you uploaded. This is a good podcast sound, yada, yada, yada. Here's what your voice is. Here are the characteristics of your voice, yada, yada, yada. It'll give you a couple of more settings down at the bottom. And it gets you, it gets you in a better place than you were before, put it that way. So, also I did, everybody's EQ. They're all the fucking same. EQ is EQ. If you got points, if you got a Q on there and it's got, the markers, it's an EQ. Don't matter if it's FabFilter, Audacity, whoever. So, when I was looking at this, this Waves Silk processor, I was asking ChatGPT all kinds of questions. Like, are you telling me that I'm going to get this Wave Silk processor and it's going to magically, clean up my voice? And ChatGPT was like, no, it's not going to do that, but it will help here. Look, dude, I need your advice because I want to buy this, but, if it's, bullshit, tell me. Give it to me straight. And then ChatGPT tried to give me some, well, you got a treated room and you got to, mic some other people, some people don't have. So, yada, yada, yada. So I said, okay. So I said, okay, I'm getting it. So I got it and, got it downloaded and everything and got it to work on, surprisingly, I'm using all these on Audacity. So got it on Audacity and, the first file, it was an episode that I just did earlier today. It sounded like crap. So I was like, oh, I'm not impressed. Not impressed. So I said, okay. I looked up at my 528 because I'm sitting in this 4x4 all the way around booth, right? And to my right is there's a desk in here, a chair, my computer, whatever. So my Rodecaster Pro 2 is to my left. And what I did was I set my Semtrex on because it has a PVC pipe as the frame of it. So I said, okay, let me take my Semtrex and just kind of prop it up. Like if you can imagine a corner, two PVC pipes square connecting at an elbow in the corner, and then you got one long PVC pipe going the length of that corner, about, I don't know, it looked like it's about maybe 6 or 7 feet. And I just took my Semtrex and propped it up in that corner and got a bunch of zip ties and just kind of secured it so it doesn't slip out. So as I'm sitting here on my computer, I can see it, see what, how much compression I have, de-esser, what my output levels are, yada, yada, yada. It's at an arm's length so I can adjust my settings. So what I did, I said, okay, let me cut off the EQ. And then I said, well, let me cut off everything. That's a good place to start. Let me cut off everything so I can actually see what this plug-in can do. And I cut everything off. And it actually, even with everything cut off, I'm in a treated booth. So it's still not that bad. But as we all know, don't believe the lie that that there's any mic that's going to get rid of every single little bit of noise, because you're still going to hear your computer fan, air movement, whatever. So I said, okay, I'll record. And throw it in there and see what happens. Show me what you can do. I paid $40, which ain't bad. So after that, I put it in there and I tried the setting, and to my surprise, I was actually impressed. Because all the fucking around I did with EQs and everything else, like I said, it's not, don't get me wrong, it didn't take me from a home podcaster to one of these people you see on YouTube. But it did get me to a better place than I was at dealing with anybody else. It got me to a better place than I was at when I was dealing with, there was a guy on YouTube who was selling presets, and he'll let you send him your raw file for free, and then he'll send it back with his process on it, because he's, that's his sale. He's selling his process. It was better than that. It was better than any EQ, it was better than my analog processor. It was damn sure better than my Rodecaster Pro 2. It was better than it was better than all that stuff, and that to me is the extremely funny part. Is like, that was worth $40 right there. Just to get something that got me further than, $1,000, over $1,000 worth of stuff for $40. So if anybody's out there and you're thinking about starting a podcast, more than likely a USB mic, $40 for this plug-in. Can't beat that. You're saving yourself a whole shitload of money and headache. You can't beat that. So to be honest with you, that's a route that I would definitely have taken had I have known, but I didn't know, and I just kind of jumped out there and fell into the trap that everybody else fell into. Oh, wait, look at this. They say this is supposed to, one all, just get it and you'll sound like a professional podcaster. Yeah. Not today. So I just wanted to do this episode to kind of give an update on that, and you can listen to this podcast, listen to this episode, and it's definitely going to be labeled that I'm using the Waves Silk processor, Silk voice processor, and it'll give you an idea of where you're coming from. So